I don't know who Ryan Day ticked off, but it was somebody to get that schedule for Ohio State. Plus, we look at Oregon and Washington's schedules on today's Locked On Big Ten Squad.
You're talking ball with the Big Ten Squad, sponsored by Game Time. From USC to Ohio State, from Michigan to Oregon, from Nebraska to Washington, it's the local experts of the Locked On Podcast Network bringing you scoops, breakdowns, and the most comprehensive preview of the upcoming Big Ten weekend. No hurt feelings and thin skin allowed. Squad up, you're part of the Big Ten Squad.
Happy Thursday, everybody. Welcome to this week's three-man Locked On Big Ten Squad. I'm Spencer McLaughlin, neutral arbiter of all things college football. Roman Tomashoff of Locked On Huskies is here, and Jay Stevens of Locked On Buckeyes. This is part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day, the number one sports podcast network out there. We thank you all so much for continuing to make that the case. Jay, let's hop right into it. Does Ohio State have the toughest schedule in the Big Ten? Because I think you can readily make that case for a schedule that goes at Texas week 2, goes at Iowa October 3rd, and then has a 3-game stretch where they go at Indiana, bye at USC, and then hosting Oregon before they play Michigan to end the year. I mean, woof, man. What's going on?
Let's not forget you have to play Nebraska on the road before hosting Michigan. This is one of the weirdest and toughest schedules I think Ryan Day has had since he's taken over at Ohio State. The 2019 schedule, I think back to that when his first time getting there, being the head coach, was pretty easy. Last year's schedule turned out to be easier than people expected. But this is tough, man. Indiana being better, USC will probably be better. Oregon, we all know what Oregon has been over the past few years. You better figure it out. Like, people are already trying to be very critical of the reported hire of Arthur Smith as a new OC. Will that be something where when you go to Bloomington, Indiana, where that OC hire is really going to be tested in a big way in a Big Ten game? Will he show up, and will he be able to handle what Kirk Cignetti is going to be prepared for in that game? I don't know, but my goodness, man, on paper, this has to be one of the toughest ones in the Big Ten. It has to be.
I think it has to be one of the toughest ones in the country, and Roman Washington is not on there for the Buckeyes this season. They made that trip last year, but is there a tougher schedule in the Big Ten? Look, we've got Craig Sheeman of Locked On Big Ten.
Hey.
Oh, that's why he's late. He was putting on his national champions shirt. I see. Anyway, Craig, I know you're not on time, even though we gave you a few extra minutes there, but we're talking about Ohio State's schedule right now. I said it extra loud so we could hear.
Wait,
anyway,
hold on, Spencer. I actually had a question for Jay regarding the Arthur Smith news.
Please.
Jay, how many tight ends do you have on your roster?
Too many. We already have too many.
All right, so that's why Arthur Smith is going there. All right, no, you guys will be fine.
See, Craig clearly doesn't watch the NFL, so he didn't get that joke. But I have to compliment my friend Roman here. That was very good. That was very good. But I mean, you glanced at the schedule, Roman. What's your reaction to what the Buckeyes have to go through?
Oh man, that's because I hadn't really given it a good look until we just kind of planned how we were going to do this, and I was like, this keeps getting worse. How does this keep getting worse? It's crazy. Like, this is absolutely ridiculous. Like, especially looking at it, I know we'll talk about Washington a little bit later on. Comparing the two schedules, I was like, wow, the Big Ten was really nice to Washington this year. This is not that bad. And then I look at, arguably the biggest brand in the Big Ten. I don't even think it's arguable in Ohio State. They gave him this. This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it's tough. And don't forget, they got to go play Texas week 2. USC is not playing Notre Dame this year because they felt like the rest of the schedule was too difficult. Meanwhile, not a peep out of Columbus, Jay, about Ryan Day doing anything of the sort. I mean, he's just kind of about that action, wanting that smoke, isn't he?
He is, and I think what happened last year where the schedule was pretty soft, I think Ryan Day's realizing you need to find ways to test your team in the regular season because not having massive tests last year hurt them against IU and against Miami. I'm not saying that they were the better teams. Clearly, IU and Miami were better than Ohio State, but maybe Ohio State would have put up a better fight than they did in those two games if they were tested in bigger ways in the regular season.
Yeah, because playing Texas in that soft SEC, man, that was not a test whatsoever. Texas is lucky the game wasn't a 40-point blowout. Anyway, Craig, you look at the Ohio State schedule, and Do you have a record that pops into your head when you see that? Obviously, this is one of the most talented teams and best programs in the country, but man, I feel like one of the best teams in the country could go 10-2 with that schedule.
I think you're right. It's I look at 4 or 5 games up there that could go either way right away, and that's very unusual for Ohio State, because any season that Ohio State has, more than one loss, it's a big deal. There's a couple on here. From an Indiana perspective, the first thing I looked at was, we got the Ohio State and Michigan back to back. So the Ohio State game was the first one. I think it was actually the first one released a day or two before the schedule. We all knew it was going to be October 17th. That's ground zero, but I am really curious to see how that Texas game goes, because I'm tired every year. I know how this is going to go. Springtime is going to come around, summertime, the preseason polls are going to come out. Texas is going to be overrated. Arch Manning is going to be the favorite to get the Heisman again, because that's just how it goes. And I'd actually like to see Ohio State go down there and beat up on them. Although, Ohio State's had a lot of turnover. A lot of guys are gone, whether it be via the portal or going to the draft. They got to reload a little bit. I think this is a little bit different from Ohio State a couple of years ago, when they got rid of Kyle McCord and they revamped everything and they got a bunch of money and they decided to keep borderline 3rd and 4th round NFL guys around another year. This year, Jay, it feels like to me, if anybody was ready for the NFL, they all left and they all got to be replaced. But the good news is, you just replace 5 stars with 5 stars. That's just what you do at Ohio State. But that's kind of how I view them and go into the schedule. And again, Texas will be a test at the beginning of the season, and I think that will give us a key or a look to see how the rest of the season will go when these tougher games start chirping up on us.
Isn't it kind of crazy?
I have to say real fast,
Yep.
I'm really disappointed that Craig didn't take the annual Texas is back road and instead decided to I respect it completely the route that she went. I was just a little disappointed.
No, I'm sick of it, because it's every year of my career. Texas is back. Like last year's a perfect case. They were number 1 preseason, and if you look at who's the favorite to get the Heisman, it was Arch. He died on the vine in the first half of the season. They disappeared after Ohio State disposed of them. But I'm not going to fall for it. I'm not going to fall for it again. Texas is never back.
Don't forget that there were folks legitimately arguing that Texas should have been in the college football playoff last year. There were people that actually thought that. Those were things there was a moment in time where we had that specific discussion. I do want to point out the incredible thing that before my eyes are drawn to the game, or before the Texas game, Ohio State going to Bloomington on October 17th. It might be the game of the year in college football. And I still kind of can't believe we're living in that world, Craig.
I think it's the same day as Alabama, Tennessee. So SC folks will not like that game having a higher viewership and having a higher number than Tennessee and Alabama.
Yes, and TV
that's all they
ratings
have
matter
now, because they can't get a team in the national championship. So
That is true.
I know. This conference doesn't know about that.
I'm excited about it because, for the past couple of years, that mid-season game was, Ohio State, Oregon, really. And, it seems like Ohio State had a couple of big games circled on their calendar, not named Michigan, for the past couple of years. And now Indiana's in that schedule. And everybody's talking about how tough the Big Ten schedule is this year. It's because all the teams that have Indiana on their schedule, the usual blow-off game, in addition to playing a Michigan or Ohio State or an Oregon or a USC, and you got Indiana in the mix, it's a whole different dynamic now.
The world has changed, and somehow it's Indiana's, and we're all living in it. By the way, as neutral arbiter of all things college football, I'd like to point out in the next segment, we're going to talk about how very unfair Oregon's schedule is. Very, very unfair.
Hi, everyone. I'm Kalia Butler, host of Locked On Women's Basketball, and this is Mazda's Women's Basketball Snapshot, celebrating the work no highlight reel can ever capture. The WNBA has released its 2026 schedule, featuring a 44-game regular season beginning on Friday, May 8th. The league's historic 30th season includes expansion teams Portland Fire and the Toronto Tempo, with opening weekend highlights such as Caitlin Clark and the Indiana Fever hosting Paige Beckers and the Dallas Wings, and a rematch of the 2025 finals between the Aces and the Mercury. In college hoops, South Carolina handed Vanderbilt its first loss of the season with a dominant 103-74 win. These moments are earned off the clock, those long before the lights ever come on. The sweat, the fakes, the doubt, the scrapes, and coming back for more every time. Mazda puts the same drive into every detail. Wins define the moment. Putting in the work, that defines you. There's more to a Mazda because there's more to you.
All right, let's talk about Oregon's schedule. Big Ten, very mean, very mean, very cruel to Oregon. And look, you see no Oregon paraphernalia here. Craig is more Oregon biased than me. Look, he's got a pennant. He's got an Oregon pennant there. Yeah, looks very, very good, by the way. But you know the most hilarious thing, and Craig and Jay, you guys will casually find this funny. Roman, you might find this very funny. If you time traveled an Oregon fan from 2023 or earlier into any point in time in the first 6 weeks of the regular season, you wouldn't know that they're in the Big Ten. You would have absolutely no idea because they have their 3 non-conference games, and then they start Big Ten play at USC because why the heck not? Maybe they're trying to get game day in that spot. Then they have a bye and play UCLA. So, Roman, the time-traveled Pac-12 fan would see this schedule and go, oh, I see the Pac-12 is thriving. Everything is going great, isn't it?
Yeah, you know, I think that just totally kills your lead in of, oh my God, the schedule was so unfair. No, I do think that I do think that part is very funny in all of this, because like Washington's first road game is also at USC. I know Oregon goes to Oklahoma State, but the first conference road game, and it's weird. I will say, like, just in terms of an overall look at the schedule, I think the Big Ten did a much better job this year in terms of scheduling buys and different things like that to make it just feel a lot more even. No, you disagree?
No, I very much disagree. Oregon's got a bye after one whole conference game.
Well, no, so I'm not saying in that regard. I'm saying in regards of not playing teams off a bye. Like last year, Washington had to play 4 or 5 different teams coming off a bye. In terms of when they scheduled it, like for teams you're playing and so forth.
Yeah, I think Washington had 5 games that were coming off a bye last year. But of course, I know you guys know, but maybe other people don't, because we have the late Labor Day this year. Now we're jamming 12 games into 13 weeks. Last year we did 12 games into 14 weeks. So everybody had 2 buys, and it seemed like Washington and the West Coast teams took the brunt of a lot of that. So at least that'll be cut in half this year. We're going to get 12 games in 13 weeks. Everybody has just for the most part, 1 bye. You know, you could take your theory about not playing Big Ten until you can take it another week. We can go Nebraska Big 8 or Big 12 days back in the day. So really Oregon doesn't start until week 8 in Big Ten play with Illinois. So we can extrapolate that even further.
Look at Craig, the wily veteran, pulling the deep historical knowledge straight out of the archives of the Jedi Order. That's really good stuff there, Craig. Quite excellent indeed. But Jay, November 7th in Columbus, notably Oregon's never won in that. So yeah, they did that. That one time. Anyway, we're not talking about anything else historically between Oregon and Ohio State. We're definitely not doing that. That will not.
I have some questions.
No, I have absolutely none. Pipe down. pipe down. But yeah, Oregon will play 8 straight Big Ten games once things get underway. And I don't really, Craig alluded to it, but Jay, I want your thoughts as well. I don't really understand why we're just pushing things back and making it surround Labor Day so much. The national championship game is going to be January 25th. As we record this show, the national championship game will have been 3 days ago when it was 9 days ago, and it's already way too long. What are we doing, Jay? Help me understand.
Being very stupid. The people that are in charge of this thing don't realize that they're hurting their own brand. They're hurting college football. And I think it also doesn't help that the number was so large, the viewership number was so large for the national championship, where they get ripped every single day for the schedule, for how they lay things out in college football. Then all of a sudden it was like 30 million watched IU beat Miami. They're like, well, we're doing something right. People are watching the game. And I'm like, well, no, you're not doing something right, because that one game does not overshadow everything else that happens in the season. And people like us that cover college football, we're like, this is stupid. It doesn't make any sense. There's no sport ever in life where you would start Labor Day weekend and then you would end in the end of January. No sport. Oh, wait, college football does. College football basically takes 2 or 3 weeks off from their best teams and just like, hey, you're fine. You're good. Go out there and play. We don't care about injuries. We don't care about none of that stuff. Let's keep the bowl partnerships going. It's very dumb. This is one of those things that gets me going because I don't like that the people that are in charge care more about the money than the well-being of the sport. But here we are.
Well, we can add another layer to that, of course, in that most of our marquee games are on at noon instead of 7:30.
Yeah.
So SEC's ratings are twice as high, even though I think we have a better product in the Big Ten. But there's that, and Ohio State knows that better than anybody else. Although you'll never get a home game at Autzen at 9 a.m. to be on big noon kickoff, that's for sure, or out there at Washington, Roman.
Nor should it in that case. Like, that's just, I feel like that's a whole separate discussion in terms of when some of those games can be played and just scheduling and all that.
Roman, just think about all the times you have been to Husky Stadium. Can you imagine, and I'm just laughing thinking about this at Autzen as well, 9 a.m. Pacific time kickoff on those campuses. What percentage of the student section will have just never gone to bed?
No, it would be an absolute disaster. Like, I remember a couple of years ago when College Game Day came out here for Oregon, Washington in 2023. I got to UW at 3:45 in the morning, and like, it was cool. It was packed. It was a tremendous day. I know Spencer agrees with me on that part as well. But like, that was a one-time thing, man. Like, that was a special occasion, and even that game kicked off at 12:30. Like, that's one of those things where I couldn't even imagine what that would look like, because like, oh yeah, it's Washington and I don't know, Michigan, like a really good top tier program at 9 a.m. Like that just sounds insane to me.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Jay doesn't even know what a night game at the Horseshoe is.
No.
Oh, no.
They don't exist. You know, they're like unicorns. If you see
They don't
one,
get 8 p.m. kickoffs.
yeah. I mean, I think the playoff game against Tennessee was a night game, right?
It was.
And it was a great spectacle, and it was electric. And the powers that be at college football saw that and went, well, we're never doing that again. Gosh, screw you guys. What, you could see their breath at night under the lights? Oh, that's a horrible aesthetic. Doesn't add to the ambiance of football at all. Why in the world would we want to do that again? But Craig, did you say that Indiana plays Ohio State, Michigan back-to-back?
Yeah.
Yeah, Oregon does too. Oregon does too.
I've noticed.
What's up with that, Tony Petitti?
Yeah, I think Tony Petitti's got a handful of those. The good teams are playing each other in clustered groups back to back. It's almost like they're allowing a ramp up time for the big games. And then if you don't survive one of them or maybe both of them, I don't know, but then there's still season left on the downside. Maybe you get back in it or something. And then I thought there would be more of those tough back-to-backs late in November, because I know Petitti really wants late November games to really, really matter. It seems to me most of these clusters of back-to-back tough games seem to be in the middle of the season this year.
You know,
most of them. Washington's is at the very end.
Yeah.
Oregon's November this past year was at Iowa, Minnesota on a Friday night, who I'm pretty sure was off a bye, short rest. Then USC, game day was in town, and then at Washington. And that was a tough, got to prove it November. Oregon went 4-0, goes to the playoff, of course. And then this year, the Big Ten said, well, I mean, if you thought that November was tough, let me show you a real November. Let me give you the toughest at Ohio State, Michigan, at Michigan State, and then Washington in 4 straight weeks. I don't know what Oregon did.
And To Roman's point, Washington, the same thing. 3 of your last 4. I mean, Penn State, Indiana, Oregon. I imagine Penn State will have some sort of bounce back, but that's pretty tough for November.
Yeah. Let's slow down on complimenting Roman, though. We got to take it one
All
segment at a time. We are going to talk about his team coming up next. I've got a bone to pick with Roman and Craig. You definitely don't want to miss that. First, this episode brought to you by our friends over at Rocket Money. Let's be real, managing your finances can feel overwhelming between subscriptions you forgot about, bills that keep going up, and trying to figure out where all your money actually goes each month. It's easy to feel like you're losing control. And who has time to track every transaction or hunt down hidden fees? That is where Rocket Money comes in, the personal finance app that helps you take control. It finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps lower your bills so you can grow your savings. The automatic transaction categorization, bit of a mouthful, but an absolute game changer. You can finally see exactly where your money is going each month. So if you have that one financial goal you haven't been able to get to over the years and you finally want to break through, Rocket Money is here to help you out. So go check them out today. Get your unwanted subscriptions canceled and much, much more. Let Rocket Money help you reach your financial goals faster. Join at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. That's rocketmoney.com/lockedon. Check them out at rocketmoney.com/lockedon. All right, Roman. All right, Craig.
I think I know where this is going.
Buckle up. Buckle up, Buttercup. And look at what Ohio State has with their schedule and the effort they put in to maintain over the last 2 years playing Texas in the non-conference. Can you both name for me, please, and the college football world dialed in to this show, who your best non-conference opponent is? Roman, why don't you start us off?
Washington State.
Ah, yes. And a game I am glad has continued to be played and should continue to be played. Yeah, that's the marquee non-conference game. Okay, so we're not tuning into Washington for the first 3 weeks of the year. Well, I mean, I will because I'm a sicko. But Craig, anyway, you want to make that even worse for the fine folks in Bloomington?
We've got Notre Dame in 2030 and 2031. We have not canceled those.
Yes, 2030 and 2031. Don't worry, give it 2 years. Signetti will bump it off. But for 2026,
Notre Dame will be in the Big Ten then. Look, we don't worry about the non-conference games, but here's the point.
We noticed.
This year, what does it matter if you still steamroll everybody else? We actually had 6 top 10 wins.
Because it's worse for the sport. Look at Ohio State's not running from the smoke. We want to showcase the Big Ten and continue to fortify everybody's belief that the Big Ten's the best conference in college football.
We showcase Indiana and the Big Ten in the month of January. That's our jam, not September.
Yeah, because September doesn't count, right? Doesn't mean anything. Sorry, Roman, you were going to add a half-hearted defense there.
No, it's not half-hearted because I know what you're doing. What you're doing is extremely unfair because in Washington's case, at the very least,
unfair is Oregon's schedule. That's unfair.
All right, let's calm down there, especially with Ohio State sitting right there.
Thank you, Roman. Thank you.
You're welcome. No, because when this game was scheduled, it was still a Power 5 game for Washington, right before the Pac-12 died. RIP. But I think one of the other things to note with Washington in particular is in 2024 and 2025, and this is 2026, but Washington was supposed to play Ohio State in a home-and-home non-conference schedule, but things blew up and things changed. So I just want to throw that at you, Mr. Unbiased arbiter of college football.
Excuse me. I'm going to respond now, counselor. So you're saying that when the Washington State game was scheduled, it was a conference game?
No.
You just said that it was scheduled when they were both in the Pac-12.
No, it was scheduled after the move to the Big Ten. It was scheduled in November of 2023.
So then you knew that it wasn't going. Then they were not a Power 4 program anymore.
It was still an air quotes Power 5 program at that time.
Yes. Let's strive to play air quotes Power 5 teams.
I'm not saying that is. I'm just pointing out the holes in your argument. I'm telling you what it looked like on the surface to people who don't pay attention to Washington State, which, as we've noticed, is 99.9% of America.
This is true. This is true.
Yeah. I mean, between Washington State and Utah State, how about you play one New World Pac-12 school and put just someone that can be interesting on there? I just want people to watch Washington, Roman. That's my primary concern. That's really what I'm worried about.
Also, hey, Washington and Tennessee, home and home, 2028 and 2029.
There we get. That's what I'm talking about, man. Do it now. Make it happen. Play it for the next 6 years. I don't care. That'd be great. That's exactly what I want to see. It's the principle of just coasting through and playing nobody. And I mean, no one's going to watch these teams for the first for the first few weeks.
Well,
I don't
two
think
of those
I don't
games will
think
be
it's
out
good.
at 8 p.m. either way.
Well, yeah, but I'm watching college football at 8 p.m.
Yeah, I know. I'm going to be there.
Yeah, take a page out of Jay's book, would you? Because Jay's team obviously canceled the series with you guys, and then what did they do? They went and picked up Texas. Like, that'd be great. You guys played Texas once. Can't be that hard, right? I mean, if Washington could do it,
And, hey,
Twice, by the way.
Jay's done by 3 p.m. on Saturdays. They don't
Every
they don't-
Saturday,
you-
Craig. Every Saturday.
Yeah, Jay, what do you do the rest of the day? Do you like spend time with your kid or something boring like that?
About to have a second one born here in about a couple months. Get some
Hey,
family
congrats.
time. Once the kids go down to sleep, we will just watch more football. Like, it's just a relaxing afternoon after Ohio State beats everybody.
Man, I mean, there's a part of that.
Except
It sounds-
for that guy wearing the black T-shirt next to me on the screen. We played them in Indianapolis, and there was, we all know the score of that game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What was it, Craig?
13-10
Barn burner.
defensive
Barn burner
battle.
slugfest. Yeah. I don't expect Indiana to change course, Craig, but I'd like to see them do it. Call me crazy. I like high quality college football games all year round. I know. Scorching hot take. I am just so blasphemously ridiculous.
Well, here's the problem. Everything in sports that's successful is copycat, and Indiana cleared the deck on the pre-conference schedule for a 5-year slate. And now everybody, and by the way, they didn't just win some games and go to a nice bowl game. They won it all. Everybody's going to start doing this. Now the SEC's got their little 9-game schedule. They're going to clear the deck on the rest of those. Everybody else is going to do this.
You can play the Citadel 3 times.
No, they've got to play 10 Power 4 opponents total, so they can only play the Citadel twice.
Oh,
By the way, do you know I was the former play-by-play announcer of the Citadel for 7 years?
No,
early in
you were
my
not.
career?
No way.
You are not.
Yeah, I was.
That just blew my mind.
What is the Citadel's mascot? Is it buildings?
Bulldog. The Bulldog.
Buildings.
That would have been great.
I like how this was for all the Husky fans that are out there being like, oh, they're going to talk about Washington's schedule. All right. It's just Spencer complaining and now buildings.
How else should it? I mean, at USC, yeah, that'll be fun. At Oregon, Indiana, yeah, good schedule there for Washington, Big Ten. Anyway, tell me the Citadel buildings wouldn't be absolutely electric.
They're
The
beautiful. They're
you
like-
could make a mascot like the Pop-Tarts guy and put a face on it, but with a building.
You could.
I'm telling you, you could do some great stuff with that.
You got your castle-like barracks. Yeah, it's awesome.
Yes. You could have him emerge. You could create. I'm going way too deep into this, but whatever.
No, this is great.
We're in the rabbit hole. You could create like a collection of costumes that makes a city, a metropolis, and then he's hidden amongst all of the buildings, and then his entrance into the game is one of the buildings just gets up and starts moving because he's obviously inside. That's my grand idea.
Is there a smoke machine involved anywhere or anything?
there
like
has-
that?
There
There's
be at
got to
least
be.
two.
There's got to be because, Roman, as you know, living in the Seattle area, when you get some fog on a great skyline, chef's kiss.
Man. Gorgeous.
That's the good stuff.
Yeah.
That's the good stuff. So, Craig, reach out to the AD and make it happen, or else I will do everything I can to get you fired.
Oh, well, remember,
That's-
you can't get me fired because that was back in like the 90s through 2000. So it's been a minute.
Yeah, but you're a wily veteran, and you can come in with the cachet of hosting Locked On Big Ten and having been a part of the Big Ten squad, which everybody watches. We all know.
And,
I
and
will
I'm-
say,
I'm-
I'd love to see a buildings pennant added to your wall behind you.
Yeah.
That'd be pretty fun.
Roman's. I got Roman on board. I'll work on Jay next
like
time,
to see
though.
us- I'd like to see us have a Locked On Citadel podcast, but I don't think that's coming anytime soon.
Locked On Citadel. You know what? I already do 2 shows. What's a third? Roman Tomashoff, Locked On Huskies, Craig Sheeman, Locked On Big Ten, Jay Stevens, Locked On Buckeyes. I'm Spencer McLaughlin from Locked On All Over, soon to be the host of Locked On Citadel Buildings. Appreciate everyone listening. We will see you next time. And until then, hope you all have a wonderful rest of your day.